And Miranda, what do you make of the media treatment of this claim that's being levelled by Tara Reid against Joe Biden compared to, similar sexual assault allegations that have been made against other senior figures and politicians?
Well, the Democrats and Joe Biden are really hoist with their own petard in this particular case because they made such a mountain out of the Brett Kavanaugh allegations, which had, a lot less verification than this particular one does. And they crucified Brett Kavanaugh, and their mantra at that time was "believe all women." And now that Tara Reid has come out and she has similarly old allegations, there appear to be people who she spoke to at the time, 27 years ago, who verified that she made a complaint of sexual assault, quite serious, including penetration by Joe Biden. Now, he denies it, and of course, as he should. I mean, I think that any fair-minded person would say that he is innocent until proven guilty, just as Brett Kavanaugh was, and just have other men in the past who've been had their reputations destroyed by allegations that are flimsy and have never come to anything. So I think that Joe Biden, in that interview, which was very tricky for him, and it was on in friendly territory, MSNBC, but he was given a real going over because the media is under a lot of pressure at the moment. These allegations have been around for over a month and they haven't done anything about it. They haven't asked to interview this woman. So now I think Joe Biden is saying something quite reasonable, which is, I didn't do it. The woman has every right to be heard, but there should be some sort of an investigation before you go and destroying my good name. And I think Republicans would do well to accept that.
How do you think, Miranda, that this is going to affect his bid to become president?
Well, it's interesting. I think you see now a lot of Democrats and people in the media are a little loath to go out and defend him in a full-throated way. And you sort of detect from that, it's very different from the way they went out full bore to protect Bill Clinton. I think that they really feel in their heart of hearts, are they going to destroy their own reputations and be shown up as being hypocrites to protect Joe Biden, who's at the moment hiding in his basement? He has clear cognitive problems. I'm not sure if people think that he's that great a candidate.
Miranda, just onto the coronavirus topic, Donald Trump said he's seen intelligence that gives him a high degree of confidence that the virus came from a laboratory. Now, it wasn't clear here whether he was saying that it was created in a lab or accidentally leaked from a lab. But America's top spy has also issued a very rare statement a few days ago confirming that this was at the heart of the investigation by intelligence agencies around the world, where the virus originated from and whether it came from a lab. Do you think that much of the left media seem to be siding with China here and that they're too quick to believe their side of the story, that it came from a wet market, when, despite the history of viruses coming from wet markets and the likelihood is that it did come from one, but there's no evidence to support this either way, is there?
Well, it's really been remarkable the way that people like Senator Tom Cotton in America, who was a very early whistleblower on the pandemic, on the threat of the Wuhan virus, and also on the possibility that it did come from the Wuhan lab. And, there's a lot of good circumstantial evidence for that, chiefly, I guess, being the fact that the Chinese themselves pointed to the wet market and they'd gone in, and as you wrote in your brilliant piece yesterday, they went in and bleached the market so no one could actually verify whether it was or not. They also destroyed virus samples in the laboratory. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Who knows what the investigators will say? But the way that people who've pointed at the laboratory have been discredited is by pretending that what they're saying is that this was biologically engineered in a lab as a bioweapon by the Chinese. Now, Tom Cotton didn't say that, and neither has President Trump. Nothing like that. All they're saying is that there is evidence pointing to the fact that it could have originated in the lab and could have accidentally leaked. It's a very different proposition from saying it's a bioweapon. And yet, the Washington Post has been chiefly putting scorn on Tom Cotton and and Donald Trump. And the reason for it is because it's such a political year. Anything that Donald Trump or any of his supporters says instinctively is reacted against by the sort of hate media, the anti-Trump crowd, and anything that they say, they're going to say is not true, even if that means siding with China against the United States.
And look, it's worth noting that Zheng Li, who runs this level 4 laboratory at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, that when she first heard that there was an outbreak, she's given media interviews on this, that she was worried it came from her lab. She said she had sleepless nights over it. So, no, if she was worried about it, and she's since then said that it absolutely didn't come from her lab. But, given there have been so many lies from China, you can't just necessarily take their word for it. Now, look, Miranda, you've also been reporting on Twiggy Forrest after he gate-crashed Greg Hunt's press conference last week. Do you think he's wrong to argue, along with Kerry Stokes, that our economy should come before national security and sovereignty?
Well, it's nonsensical. You can't separate the two. And, he's behaved very badly. We know why. He earned something like $6 billion of his fortune from selling Australian iron ore to China. He wants to have good relationships with his business partners in China. Fair enough. But don't go and involve the government in your game. And, Scott Morrison has said that he wants to join with America and other countries in investigating the origins of the Wuhan virus. Don't understand why China would be blocking that unless they have something to hide. And Twiggy Forrest has gone overseas, procured these 10 million test kits, but the Australian government is paying for them. So really, he's used his connections to get them. But what does that tell you about China? That they will only give the test kits to a country that kowtows to them. And the quid pro quo seems to have been for Twiggy Forrest is that he brings along, this Chinese consul general, Long Zhu, into the press conference with the health minister, Greg Hunt, and embarrass him, ambush him. That was a repellent thing to do. And it only adds to a feeling about Twiggy Forrest that he's just running a little bit too close to the wind on the China issue. He's not detecting what Australians are feeling about the fact that China unleashed this virus onto the world deliberately by allowing flights out on January 23 from Wuhan, from Hubei province, after they closed down their own domestic flights. China could have locked down and stopped that virus from getting to the rest of the world. Australians are angry about that. They want answers. And here's Twiggy Forrest saying, oh, no, let's not do it. Let's just wait until after the American election. And also, Twiggy Forrest went on Perth Radio a few weeks ago and said, oh, well, we don't know if it came from China. It could have come from Australia. I don't care where it came from. It matters where it came from.